Starting your day off with a take on Vegas you won't get anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and I listen to Brian Shapiro. Why? Because I'm a good American. So is he. And if you don't listen to him, you need to pack up and leave this country.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Welcome all guys!
What's up, everybody? It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. It's hump day, baby. It's Wednesday. A lot to get to today on the show. Jameson Walsh from Drive Time Sports to go over the NBA playoffs coming up in hour number 2. Also, Dennis Silver's the golf guru to preview tomorrow's PGA Championship. Weird riff between Tiger Woods and John Daly, of all people. I haven't really mentioned his name in a while. We'll get to that coming up in hour number 2. But I want to get right into this story that is, it just absolutely gets my blood boiling. And, you know, look, it's a sensitive subject. A lot of people are going to agree. Some people are going to disagree, and that's fine. But as you know, Alabama Governor Kay Ivey just signed the state's controversial, let's just call it what it is, abortion ban. I mean, that's really what it is, right? The only way you can get an abortion now in Alabama is if, you know, medically something could happen to the mother, if there's a medical issue. Other than that, you can't get an abortion. And it's the first type of measure that has passed even this close to restrictive to anti-abortion since Roe versus Wade back in 1973. It bans all abortions in the state except when abortion is necessary, like I said, in order to prevent a serious health risk. Let me be very clear with my thoughts on abortion. First of all, I don't even think men should be talking about this. I don't even think men should have any say in these types of decisions. Because a man will never be pregnant, at least as far as I know. Men should not be the people that are even close to having discussions like this or putting this into law. That's number one. Number two, people seem to want to get their religion in the way of policy. It's called the separation between church and state. Your religious belief should have absolutely nothing to do with policy. I'll give you an example. If Mike Pence had his way, our vice president, if he had his way, homosexuality would be illegal. It would be a crime. Do you remember that buffoon, Roy Moore? He once said that publicly, that he thought being a homosexual should be illegal. That's right. He said it. And there have been others in the past that have made idiotic comments like that as well. Religion should never take control of policymaking, period. This should be a family and a doctor decision. And those are the only people. Do you think this is fun for some of these women? Do you think that this is a personal, private, painful situation? Talk to a woman who has had an abortion. Have you ever had a conversation with a woman who's had this horrible procedure done? It is an awful situation that no woman wants to go through. Yes, there is a very small percentage of women that have gotten way too many abortions, that are irresponsible. I don't support that, and I'll get into that in a second. And there are many women out there that never will tell you that they've had an abortion, and they shouldn't have to because it's a private decision. But now people on the way right want to affect your life and your decision-making and your body, and it is flat out wrong, and it is disgusting. Now, with that being said, I've said all along, where do you think life starts? Where do you think it is a human being in the womb? When? And I give the same answer every single time. If that living thing in your body cannot survive outside of the body, to me, it's not a human being. And I'll give you some stats that talks about that. A baby that is born 24 weeks after gestation survive, about 35%. 50 to 7% of babies survive at 25 weeks. And the majority of babies, the overwhelming majority of babies, survive after 26, 27 weeks. That's when you're a human being. Can you survive outside the womb? In my opinion. Now, if your opinion differs from mine and your religion says you cannot have an abortion, then don't have an abortion. It's as simple as that. Don't have one. But stop pushing your beliefs on other people. If you don't believe in gay marriage, fine. then don't have a gay marriage or don't go to a gay marriage. Stop pushing your religious beliefs on other people. I'm tired of it. If you don't agree with homosexuality, that's fine. If your son tells you that he's a homosexual one day, you deal with that. If you're not, that's fine. That's your family, not mine. I disagree. If you don't believe in abortion and you would force your daughter to have a baby under any circumstance, that's fine. It's a free country. You have a right to do it. It's your family. It's your daughter. You do what you want, and I would never, ever tell you otherwise. You have a right to make that decision. That's what you see the key word there, folks? Decision. Family. Those are the key words here. It should be up to the family, the female in this situation, and in some cases, the doctor. But now this Alabama governor decides to put this into law, and it is outrageous and it is disgusting. And don't even get me started with that heartbeat law that was passed. Most women don't even know they're pregnant after 6 weeks. This is disgusting. And I am not for late-term abortion. Make no mistake. After 6 months, if you're getting an abortion, no, that should be illegal. I am all for that. And women that use abortion as birth control, that is disgusting. And we need to do something about that as well. But to take abortion away from the entire state of people because of political beliefs, because of religious beliefs, you want to talk about insane. There are people out there on the right that I talk to every day that call women who get abortions, legal abortions, murderers. That's right. There are whack jobs out there that feel that way. It's very simple. I'll repeat it one more time. If the baby can't survive outside the womb, then in my opinion, it is not a human being with rights. Simply put, I believe at least after 24 weeks, perhaps 25 weeks, maybe 26 weeks. That is my take on abortion. And I cannot believe in this day and age we are having this discussion. I cannot believe after Roe versus Wade was decided in 1973 that Alabama has virtually banned abortions. It is outrageous, it is ridiculous, and it is another example of people that want to push their beliefs, their religious beliefs, and in some cases their political bias on other people. And I want to get your thoughts on this, and I will open up the phone lines because I know this is a hot topic. It's a difficult topic to talk about, but I'm not afraid to get into it with people on this because I think this is ridiculous. The number to call if you want to be a part of the show, 257-5396. Again, that number, if you want to be a part of the program and have a discussion about this, gladly I will have it with you. Again, that number, 257-5396. And we're talking about these new abortion laws that were put into place in Alabama. Trust me, it's not just going to be Alabama. We're going to get other states that are going to do the exact same thing. And I tell you, I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's sickening. I cannot believe in this day and age we are still talking about this. 257-5396. Again, that number to call, 702-257-5396. Let's start with Gary. Gary, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, Gary?
Hey, I'm very, very extreme. I'm an extreme left-wing guy. I'm so extreme left-wing, I don't want them to hear me because I want to say everyone that brings a child into this world should be charged immediately with taking a hostage, a human being as a hostage. And two, I think abortion should be legal up to age 5. That's how I feel. There's too many people in the world.
Well, Gary, we can't do that. That's a little bit extreme, Gary. Are you being facetious?
I know, I'm crazy.
Okay, well all right, fair enough, Gary.
I need to see a psychiatrist. I'm crazy.
Okay, I can tell, Gary. I appreciate the call, but that I think we're going a little bit extreme there. Look, I'm not trying to go that far. That was a little ridiculous. Let's be serious here. This is outrageous to me. It is outrageous to force women and make that decision for women and take that right away from them. Again, the number to call if you want to be a part of the show, 257-5396. Again, that number to call is 257-5396. Let's go to Rob. Rob, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. What's up, Rob?
How you doing tonight, Brian?
Doing good, Rob. What do you think about this?
Oddly enough, yet again, I partially agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree it is the choice that should only be made between a family, a woman, and her doctor, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, then public funds shouldn't be used to fund it. Don't tell me I got to pay for something that philosophically I don't agree with. I'm not telling people they can't go do it. I'm not saying people shouldn't have the medical right to go do it.
So your point, Rob, I just want to get what you're saying. I want to understand what you're saying. So you're saying you're not going to tell people that they can't get an abortion, but your feeling is you just don't want taxpayers to pay for someone that maybe doesn't have the money to get the procedure done. Is that what you're saying?
100%. Now, along the same lines of if it's a medical condition for the mother where it's medically necessary, then do that.
Right.
But to blanketly fund Planned Parenthood and organizations like that,
that's a fair.
I'm wrong.
That's
if I
a
say
fair.
we shouldn't.
That's a fair argument. But let me ask you this. Let's take this a step further, okay? And you're not the only person that feels this way, by the way. And I think it's a fair argument. But what do you say to a parent, and that parent is forced to have the child because they don't have the money, and then when they want to go on food stamps or they want to go on unemployment benefits for all the pro-lifers out there, if they're truly pro-life, why are they cutting these types of benefits to help these moms? That's what frustrates me, Rob.
Because now you're making an argument about what's cheaper. Is it cheaper to perform abortions or is it cheaper to support children? How you answer that question, I don't know.
Well, there's a reason why I bring that. I understand what you're saying, Rob, and I appreciate the call. Thank you very much. The reason why I bring that up again is for this reason. If you are truly pro-life, then be consistent on it. How many people out there preach pro-life every day and how people who commit abortions are murderers? But it is those same people that are cutting unemployment benefits. It is those same people that are cutting food stamps benefits and welfare. For many of these families that struggle to put food on the table, if you're a pro-lifer, then be consistent with it. Be a consistent pro-lifer and be pro-helping people that are struggling. Isn't that part of being pro-life? It's not about just abortions, right? How many Republicans out there want to cut benefits to help people who are struggling to put food on the table? I don't want to hear you say that you're pro-life, but then you're for cutting benefits, medical benefits, and food stamps and welfare, the programs that are helping parents put food on the table that are struggling. I don't want to hear you then talk about being pro-life. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Villa, you are next on the Vaya. I apologize. Vaya, you're next on the Vegas Take. How are you? Thank you for the call, Vaya. I appreciate that. That would probably be our best call today. Let's go to Dylan. Dylan, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
Oh, yeah. Hey, we got to get to some Trump stuff, right? Abortion's boring. I mean,
well, I don't think abortion's boring. I think this is
it is, I promise you.
No,
this
it's
is
not.
my favorite show, and I'm ready to snooze.
But Dylan, I always do enjoy talking about Trump, but you have to admit, let's be serious here. This is a very serious subject, and I think it needs to be discussed. And I think the people that should be discussing it more than anybody are women, not some of these middle-aged men that are putting these laws into Congress.
Well, are you pro-life? I'm curious. I'm curious on that.
I am. No, I am not. Okay, here. Let me give my stance on this whole thing again. I think abortion should be legal. I do not believe in late-term abortion. That should be illegal. Okay, and I also believe that if there are medical issues, that's a big part of this as well. This should be a decision between the mother, the doctor, the family, that sort of deal. Now, with that being said, women who use abortion as birth control, that's disgusting. I believe there should be a number put on that. If you've had more than 3 or 4 abortions, that's disgusting. You should be done. Okay, but yes,
sure.
I do believe women should have the right to choose. Absolutely.
Do you think Planned Parenthood, it's my feeling that they are pretty much support big time using it for birth control.
Yeah.
Just, what I feel about is the government shouldn't even mention the word. It's none of their business.
I agree.
That's how I feel about it.
I agree, but here's where we run into some problems. And I just had this same question with the last caller. What do you do to, let's just say hypothetically, a 16 or 17-year-old girl gets pregnant. Her parents don't even have the money for her to get an abortion. They can't even come up with $600 or $700 to get the procedure done. Should we force that person to not have an abortion?
Wow, that's where we could argue the rest of our lives with everybody out there. That's why I want to talk about rump.
You want to talk about Donald Trump?
What I mean?
Well,
I want to get
okay.
orange here.
I have a lot of callers on the line, but with that being said, give me a quick question about Donald Trump, and I will gladly answer it for you. All right? How about that, Dylan?
Okay, let me think of one. Okay, King Trump, he is not going to hand over Jack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just love you. Hey, I love your Trump stuff, man.
Dylan,
I hope you can dig something up.
I appreciate that, Dylan. We'll get to Trump. Don't worry. I appreciate that, Dylan. I appreciate the call, my man. Tell your wife I said hello. Thank you. I'll see you at the poker table. Thank you, Dylan. 257-5396 is the number to call. Michael, I believe, is next. Michael, thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I don't think food stamps has anything to do with it, but
well, can I tell you why, Michael? Can I tell you why I brought that up?
Go ahead.
And then I'll let you, make your comment. I promise. Here's why I bring up food stamps, because many people that are pro-life, usually, I think you could agree on this, Michael, the majority of people that are pro-life are on the right, including politicians. Can we agree on that? The majority?
I guess so.
Okay, so going with that, many of the people on the right that have cut unemployment benefits, that are cutting food stamps, that are cutting many services by the government to help struggling families that do not have a lot of money, those are the people that are the Republicans that are pro-life. So if you are pro-life, isn't it pro-life to help a struggling family, a needy family that maybe has an income of under $30,000 a year, and help them with food stamps and help them with benefits? Well, many Republicans for years have been trying to cut those benefits. Michael, that's why I bring that up.
Yeah, but I just don't see that argument with it. I mean, we're broke. We're $20 trillion in debt. We can't keep funding stuff that we can't afford.
Do you know how much money? Okay, so you're okay with the wall then?
Yes, I'm fine with the wall.
So you're okay with
Other countries build walls. Pelosi has a wall around her house. All these people at Facebook and all this, they have nice, pretty walls around their house.
So you're okay. Well, that's a different. So you're okay with oozing billions and billions and billions of dollars towards a wall, but when it comes to helping people and helping families that are struggling,
thing. Once you pay for it, and they've been saying they've been going to do it for 30 years.
Once
it's built, it's done with.
I understand it's a one-time thing, but the point I'm trying to make is you're okay with putting billions of dollars towards a wall, but all of a sudden you become cheap when it comes helping families that are struggling and putting food on the table.
What happened to keeping your legs closed and being a responsible human being?
In a perfect world, in a perfect world, I would agree with you. But people make
the world is not perfect.
Absolutely,
Wake up.
I agree. I agree. I talk about our president all the time and how imperfect he is. I agree. The world is not perfect, and people make mistakes. With that being said, I do believe a woman should have the right to choose. Are you married? Are you married? If you don't mind me asking, Michael.
Yes.
Do you know anybody, your wife, your parents, anybody in your family has ever had an abortion?
Yes.
You do? Okay,
yes.
So what do you say to them? Do you have those discussions with them?
I believe that they made a mistake, and they should have, if anything, there's plenty of people that will adopt children, especially infants. They take them first, I understand, but I just cannot. You're killing babies. I don't care what you say. It's still killing a human life.
Okay, well, we just disagree on the definition of that, but here's what I would say to you, Michael, and I respect your opinion, but here's what I would say to you. Nobody is forcing anybody in your family to have an abortion. You can have that discussion with your wife or your daughter or whoever, and nobody's going to tell you you can't have that discussion. But why are you forcing your opinions on other people? That's the whole point of this. Don't force your beliefs on others. You have the right. I respect your opinion. In fact, I respect anybody's opinion. Anybody's opinion when it comes to being pro-life. Just don't force it on others. It's a free country. That's all I ask. 257-5396. Let's go to Thomas. Thomas, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, so I'm actually pro-choice. At least I consider my pro-choice, and I am on the right. I do consider myself conservative. I usually want to call and argue with you. Tonight, look, I practically agree with you, but I think the way you frame it, I think you're framing it intentionally to rile up these pro-lifers and
No. Thomas,
really...
hold on. I'll let you make. I promise you, I'll let you make your point. Okay. How long have you been listening to this show for? Listening to me?
Oh, about a year.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. By the way, have I ever said anything on this show that you think I just made up or I don't believe? Because I'm going to tell you right now, everything I say on this show, unless I openly say that I'm joking about something. I say what I believe, Thomas, and this is what I believe. Okay, so go ahead and make your point, but I'm just going to tell you right now, I never say things on this show that I don't believe. I'm always going to be honest with you.
Sure, and I believe that too. Look, so you said that if the baby is in the womb and it cannot survive on its own,
yes,
it is not a human being with rights.
In my opinion, that is my personal opinion, yes.
So if a baby is born and has health complication and needs to be on life support, does the mother have the right at that point to terminate her child? She doesn't want to keep it on life support?
100%. Absolutely. It's just
even if the doctor says
is,
there's an 80% chance of keeping it alive and it could survive.
Okay,
or what if it's going to be mentally retarded?
Well, number one, you didn't say that. Okay, that's a big difference. You didn't say that. And number two, in many cases of adults that are vegetables or adults that are in comas for long periods of time, you get that right. You can pull the plug. Even if a doctor says you have a 1% chance, there's many cases where the mother, the father, the wife, the husband says, okay, let's pull the plug. It's not looking good. And I don't want this person, my husband, my daughter, my son, to live a life of pain and anguish. So, yes, I do think they should have that right.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. I actually agree with you. Allow me I was playing devil's advocate. I just wanted to clarify that.
Sure.
I do agree with you. But now here's where I want to take it to the next step.
Okay.
While I'm pro-choice, I don't think we should incentivize people to use abortion as birth control, and I think you and I agree on that.
I could not agree more. I think
Parenthood, I think, locates itself in low-income neighborhoods intentionally to take advantage of vulnerable people.
Agree. But you know what? Can I make an analogy here? And I agree with you, Thomas. I agree. But here's where I'll make this analogy. We don't want to punish everybody on food stamps, and I keep bringing up food stamps and welfare. We don't want to punish people to go on food stamps and welfare because there is a small percentage of people that take advantage of that, right? There is always going to be a percentage of people that are going to take advantage of Planned Parenthood, but I don't want Republicans to use Planned Parenthood and use that against the good people out there that do want to get an abortion for different reasons that do not use Planned Parenthood. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do, and I would say that's why this issue is framed as a political issue, but truly it's a social issue. Why are we having so many young people have children out of wedlock and when they're young?
Well, that's a discussion.
They're not making planned parenthood decisions. They're not planning anything.
I don't disagree.
If I can just add one more thing, I think this ties into, in general, the responsibility of family planning. I propose, and I fully support, abolishing all federal compulsory education laws and instituting user fees for every parent that sends a child to public school. Mm-hmm. If they're in poverty, they don't have to pay the fee. But if they can afford a brand new car to drop their kid off at that school, they sure as hell should be chipping in to pay for those schools. The reason I say these issues are connected is because they want to have abortion. They even want it subsidized by taxpayers. They want the school subsidized by taxpayers. I don't have kids. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'll say I don't have kids. But look, why do we think a country of 350 million people can just afford to put these kids through school? Now Elizabeth Warren wants to give them free college too.
Well, that's ridiculous. Yeah, Thomas. Thomas. It's a really good call, Thomas. And don't even get me started with Elizabeth Warren. I agree. I completely agree with what you just said. That is a logical conversation that Republicans and Democrats need to have, not somebody like this idiot Kay Ivey who puts this bill into law in Alabama. Let's go to Jay. Jay, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. How you doing today, man?
Good, my man. Thanks for calling in. What do you think about this?
First of all, Brian, I want to commend you on having some balls, man.
I appreciate that.
To stand up and say what you're saying, because like you said, this thing ain't nothing. It's all about nothing but control.
Right.
It's all or nothing about men trying to step up, being in control over a woman's body. And like you said, that's a woman's body, man.
Yeah, Jay, can I ask you something? Why should, and I think you'll agree with me on this, why should we as men get involved in this conversation and tell women what to do with their bodies?
Because we're stupid.
Yeah, well, maybe a lot of the people that are putting these laws in.
Excuse me for cutting you off, because we're stupid, man. We don't want to sit and do our part like a man and do what we're supposed to do, respect that woman, honor that woman, and honor those children, and then we wouldn't have these issues.
Right.
We as men, we just think sometimes we got some responsible men. I'm not saying all men are stupid, but you got a lot of responsible men like you, Brian.
Well, that's arguable. I don't know. I think many women in my past life would tell you that's not the case, Jay. But hey, listen.
Look where you are now.
Well, on the air, I'm a different person. I'm actually quite responsible on the air. Off the air is another story, Jay. But as far as this goes, Jay, we are in complete agreement. We need to respect women to the point of let them make these decisions on their own. And I appreciate the call and those kind words, Jay. Good to hear from you. Thank you so much. 257-5396 is the number to call. Marge, you're next. Marge, thanks for calling in. What's up?
Being a woman, obviously, I can't imagine with an incest or a rape situation forcing a woman to carry a baby. That's unconscionable. So that's one point in this whole thing. I'm not sure what KIV is doing, but I almost have a funny feeling they're trying to bring this up to the Supreme Court and force the issue and have, Roe v. Wade decided all over again for the country.
Right.
And I think we're going to see this with some other states.
Isn't this scary? I mean, Marge, I'm not a woman, right? I'm not capable.
I don't think you are.
No, I'm not capable of getting pregnant, but even this scares me. I can't even imagine a young girl out there and these people are, well, wear protection,
Yeah, well, sometimes you don't, I mean, in an incest situation, I mean, we know that's a family situation. With rape, who's to say what's going to happen? You may not have protection at the moment.
Right.
Come on.
Exactly. Exactly. And look, I'm sure you would agree with me on this one. I'm not for late-term abortions unless there's medical reasons for it. I'm not for women using abortions as birth control. That's disgusting. But Planned Parenthood is a completely different conversation. We're talking about a governor in Alabama that is basically making abortions illegal, and I just never thought I would think the day would come, Marge.
Yeah, and the other part is, I wonder, they're saying that the doctors will be in prison for life, I believe. So how many doctors are going to leave the state? They're going to have a mass exodus of physicians because no physician will not want to operate in that state when you think about it.
You are absolutely right. Marge, good call as always. We really appreciate you calling in. We're going to take some more calls when we come back. We got Jesse on the line. We got Jim on the line. We got Sarah on the line. I definitely want to hear a female's perspective on this, just as a few callers who just called in. Give us a buzz, 257-5396, 702-257-5396. I want to hear from all of you, even those that disagree, that think that, that are pro-lifers. I want to hear from you. And I want to hear from people that agree with me. I want to hear both sides of this issue. You heard mine. Again, the number to call, 257-5396. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. A reminder, coming up in hour number 2, the golf guru Dennis Silvers to preview the PGA Championship, and Jamison Welsh from Drive Time Sports. Talk a little NBA, but we're continuing this conversation with abortion basically made illegal. Let's just call it what it is in the state of Alabama today, which is completely and utterly ridiculous. And I'm taking your phone calls on it at 257-5396. A lot of people on hold, and you won't find a more interactive show in Las Vegas than the Vegas Take. So we want to get to your phone calls. Let's go to Sarah, who's been waiting patiently on hold. Sarah, thanks for your patience. How are you?
Thank you very much, Brian. I want to first of all tell you that you are the best way that I can come home.
Well, I wish every woman would tell me that. Thank you. Why can't all women tell me that, Sarah? Can you please spread the word?
I certainly will. I thoroughly, completely enjoy everything that you have on your show. There are things that people call in, but everybody has their own opinions. And I just wanted to commend you with bringing up this subject, especially being a man, where you are putting a different, you're putting your opinion and your feeling into something that's very personal to a woman. And a lot of the things that you have said and have discussed, I have gone through personally myself. I'm 56 years old. Mm-hmm. When I was 16 years old, I was pregnant and I had an abortion. This is not with one guy and another guy and another guy.
Right.
I was young and
you made a mistake.
Yes.
Nobody's perfect.
Correct. And I went to family planning. Unbeknownst to my mom and my parents, not knowing what I was going through, it was one of the most difficult things that up to my adult life I have had to go through and endure, and it's still a feeling that I have.
Cannot imagine, and I sympathize with you, and the majority of the women that are brave enough for you to even tell your story tell me the exact same thing that you're telling me, how difficult it was. And a lot of times you're afraid to even tell your family, especially at the young age of 16. And now we have people calling in that are attacking Planned Parenthood. And I think in some places like this one, it works.
It does. And it really does. I mean, there are things that Planned Parenthood does help women of all ages, within different economic backgrounds.
Right.
It's not just someone who is out there getting birth control or having an abortion. They do a lot of things for women.
So, Sarah, can I ask you something? And I'm sorry to, I want to give you time to answer this question. What would you say to Governor Kay Ivey of Alabama and many of these nut job lunatic religious fanatics on the right, that is what I am going to call them today, that are pushing this down your throat, that basically, if they had it their way, would ban all sorts of any type of abortion throughout the country? What would be your message if you were talking to them right now?
Well, I would tell them, first of all, because they're banning it in the case of incest and rape.
Right.
So here in the South, everybody always has this joke about what happens in the South. But it's no joke. And it's a serious issue when you have fathers and brothers who will rape a sister or a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen to those individuals who do that heinous and the most unconscionable crime against a daughter or a sister?
That's a good point.
Is that person going to be castrated?
You're right.
So what's going to happen to that person? That
is such a valid point, Sarah. Let me just say this as well before I let you go. You're very brave to share your story on the air. Not an easy thing. And, you know, I'm so glad that you called and shared your story, because more of these nut jobs on the right need to hear your story. Sarah, thank you so much.
A great call, Sarah. That's a very valid point. Was it really broken down what would happen to a brother who rapes his sister?
My understanding, according to the law in Alabama today, JD, the only way you cannot have an abortion is if there's some sort of medical issue where the mother could, lose life. It's unbelievably ridiculous. Let's take some more calls. The phone lines are jammed. We have one phone line open at 257-5396. Let's go to Jim. Jim is next. Thanks for calling in, Jim.
After Sarah's call, there's not a whole lot to add to that. She summed it up the whole.
She really did. She really
good.
did. Yeah, she did, Jim.
The thing that really scares me, I'm kind of confident in the back of my mind that the Supreme Court will say Roe v. Wade stands. But the thing that's really weird about this law that says that women who travel out of state to get an abortion can get 10 years.
That is unbelievably ridiculous. Yeah, it is funny. JD's laughing. So am I. It's so ridiculous, these nut jobs on the right that are putting these laws into effect.
Yeah,
I think what else can you do but laugh at these idiots?
Yeah, ask a conservative who calls what they think about that part of the law.
Yeah, you know what, Jim?
A woman can't leave the state.
Yeah.
Well, the crazy part about it is
Jim,
it's a conservative law, but a lot of these women that are being forced to have children, they're not going to have a lot of money. They're not going to have intact jobs. So the side of the government that doesn't like welfare is pushing towards it.
Yeah.
Without even realizing it. It's such a oxymoron.
Yeah, you want to talk about
really think about
oxymoron? If Republicans had their way, let's give Paul Manafort 6 months probation, but let's give a woman 10 years in jail if she has an abortion. What a bunch of nut jobs. To talk about an oxymoron. 257-5396. Let's go to Jesse, who's been waiting patiently on hold. Jesse, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hello. So I just wanted to throw this out there that I live in a city where there's it's very populated, and I grew up with a lot of friends that got abortions. Mm-hmm. And till this day, they felt like it was too easy for them to get it, and they regret it. And they're not religious or anything. They just feel like there should have been a little more talking about it before, or talking about the mental consequences that it would have on them personally.
And that's fair,
life.
Jesse. There's a lot of people that have had abortions, and then 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, of course you're going to be thinking to yourself, what if I didn't do this? What if? And I totally understand that. I totally do. But again, you're right. This is a conversation in a perfect world.
But that was still their choice.
It was still their choice, right? And in a perfect world, yeah, you'd like them to confer with their family. But
it's almost like some pharmaceutical company who sells all the birth control pills is lobbying billions and billions of dollars, because that's what's going to happen. Is they're going to? I would assume that birth control will kind of be the thing moving forward.
Three reasons when I look at some of these people on the right, and Jesse, you could tell me if you disagree with me or not. Three things: money is certainly one, religion, politics, and I guess you could use religion and politics hand in hand there. Three reasons, okay? Religion, money, politics, and I don't think.
And let's be honest, control.
Yeah. Well, that's part of politics, I guess. People that put policies in place that have the control. Jesse, I mean, so what do you think about this? Do you think a woman should not have the right to choose?
I believe when it comes to underage girls, which is the majority that get them as well,
yes.
there should be, I don't know, some sort of like counseling before, or just.
That's
like,
fair.
I'll agree with that.
More, mental health awareness because of it. So they know exactly, because some of them just do it because they're scared and they're young, and they don't even know the consequences, what's going to happen.
I agree. Jesse, mentally. I agree, and I'm glad to hear your point of view, and you make a very good point. Thank you for the phone call. Look, Republicans and Democrats,
call, Jesse.
Once again, I keep saying this every frickin' show. Republicans and Democrats need to come together, stop it with the extremes, listen to what this last caller just said. Let's put some laws and rules in place that make sense for women. If you leave the state and have an abortion, should we really put a mother or that had an abortion behind bars for 10 years? It's ludicrous. It's ridiculous. 257-5396. I apologize if I'm screwing up this now. Okay, Neil. I believe Neil is next. Is it Jim? Okay, Jim, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you? Okay, maybe it was Okay, we lost Jim. Who's the next caller, Johnny? Tanaya, you're the next caller. Sorry about that, Tanaya. How are you?
I'm 15. Okay, barely turning 16 this year. Huge fan of the show, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So when I told my parents that I was active in general, they were like, "Okay, well, you need to be being safe and things like that." So we went to Planned Parenthood, and I chose my option, and I got birth control and everything like that. But, I mean, the fact that it can only range from like $300 to $800 to get an abortion, whereas the thing that I got was $900, but it lasts for 12 years of birth control.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, that is insane to me.
It is. I'm glad but keep in mind tonight, you're responsible. You spoke to your parents about this. I would imagine a lot of your friends are too embarrassed to do that. Am I wrong in assuming that?
Oh, no, you're not wrong at all.
Yeah, I mean, you sound like a very intelligent young lady, and I'm very glad. I'm sure your parents are very thankful that you spoke to them about this. But, I mean, what do you do if one of your friends, what are you, a freshman, sophomore in high school?
I'm a freshman.
You're a freshman in high school. Are there, and I'm not even going to ask you what high school you go to, but are there freshmen in your school that are pregnant or sophomores that you see walking around?
Yes, and my sister has been pregnant 3 times now while she's still very young. So.
Wow. And did she get abortions or did she have the children?
So she had 2 of them, and she got pregnant a 3rd time, which was not expected, and she felt that her body couldn't handle it anymore.
Now imagine if she lived in Alabama. She would have been forced to have that child or face jail time. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's ridiculous. I feel that is in Alabama, is it anything to do with the time or how long the baby has developed, in other words?
You know what? If you ask me about the state of Alabama, I think there's a lot of dumb people that live in that state. I'll just say it. I'll just say it. I'll say it how it is.
It's a pretty backward state, to say the least.
There's a lot of idiots that live in that state and a lot of morons that are politicians tonight. Let me just say this before I let you go, and thank you for your story. I think you have a bright career in radio. You're going to take my job one of these days. So you're a very intelligent young lady, and I'm so glad you called in, and I hope you continue to do so, okay?
I'd really, you read my mind. I would really like to be a radio host one day.
Well,
I was telling my dad that after he called you.
Well, I'll tell you what. You find us on Twitter. My email is brian@thevegastake.com, and I will gladly have you and your dad in studio, and you could watch what we do here. What do you think about that?
That sounds amazing.
All
yeah,
right.
I'll look you up.
All right. Thank you, Tanaya. Very bright young
thanks
lady.
Thanks a lot, Tanaya.
Tell you what, she's better than 99% of our callers. I'll tell you that much. She's 15 years old.
She's better than quite a few other hosts in town at stations that I won't name.
I agree with that, too.
You know what's interesting about the Alabama Senate is they have one thing in common. They're all males.
Yeah.
They're all males.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Maybe if there was 4 or 6 or even 3 females that were part of this, but it's 100% male that made this decision.
That's what I really want, though, in general. I want people like Lindsey Graham.
Bias.
I want people like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz putting in abortion laws. Yeah, what a great idea. Those frickin' lunatics. Give me a break. 257-5396. Let's go to Neil. Neil, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, Neil?
Brian, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
All right, good.
What's up, Neil?
All right, listen, on this issue, I happen to be a states' rights guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm really, I have an admiration for Alexander Hamilton and a strong federal government. But on this particular issue, I think the federal government should be out of the abortion business. Let the states determine their own doctrine. Having said that, it's complicated because depending upon when you consider that fetus viable is when the protections of the Constitution extend to it. Now, one little quirk about this law, Roe v. Wade, which I find ridiculous,
Why is
they've made a determination, arbitrary, that after that second trimester, they consider that a viable fetus. I don't know when that fetus is viable. And with modern technology...
Well, can I answer that? Because I talked about that at the beginning of the show, and I said if the fetus can survive outside the womb, then I believe it's a human being. Most women that are under 25 weeks pregnant, the baby does not survive. I don't think that is a human being yet that has rights. To me, and this is my opinion, I don't believe it is a human being until it can survive on its own. That's just my opinion.
Well, actually, the religious right, they believe at conception that is a person.
And I disagree with that. For me, I just think that's completely and utterly ridiculous. You don't even, I mean, come on.
I'm different on the issue. I think that once you can watch the baby move its
you can understand the
legs and arms, it's considered viable.
You can understand the complexity of this.
Right.
Right? Because, the religious right, they believe it's viable upon conception.
Mm-hmm.
You said technology, these preemies are surviving longer and longer, outside of the womb.
Yeah. Yep. I understand what you're saying. I totally understand where you're coming from, but I think you said the word right there. You didn't say the right. You said the religious right. Let's get all these religious fanatics out of this conversation. This should have absolutely nothing to do with religion. Let's go to Brian. Brian, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, Brian?
What's up, Brian?
Hey, guys. Very difficult issue. And I'd just like to point out that women are evenly divided on this issue. Not a lot of people know that. That's not something that's touted in the media hardly
and you're right, Brian. So can I ask you a question? If we're so divided on this issue, why not let people make decisions for themselves? Why push?
That's all real. That works good for the woman, works good for the man, especially because he gets out of everything. But it doesn't help that unborn child.
Right.
That's the one that pays the biggest price. And so I want to share my story real quick. When I was 17 years old, my girlfriend got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, abortion was illegal in the state we lived in, but we could go to a neighboring state and have an abortion. We decided that it was our child, and we couldn't raise that child responsibly because I had no job. I was still in high school. She was too. And so we decided she was going to carry the baby to term, and we wanted to give that baby to a couple who couldn't have a baby of their own.
And that's a very nice thing that you did.
That's what we did.
Yes.
Let me finish real quick.
Yep.
We were able to pick the religion of the people. We were able to pick that they were both college graduates. And so I have a 53-year-old son somewhere in Texas.
Can I just say to that?
Now.
Brian, I'm shocked that you're 70, by the way. Literally shocked.
Brian, let me respond to that real quickly. And and I don't mean to cut you off because I do have to get to some other calls. But let me just say this, and I appreciate you sharing that story. By the way, that worked for you, and I think that's fantastic what you did, Brian. But again, the key word is it worked for you,
and it was your choice.
And it was exactly. That might not work for somebody else. I'm glad it worked for you. Congratulations. I think that's fantastic. Next caller, let's go to Patty. Patty, thanks for calling in. Patty, what's on your mind?
Hi, Patty.
Yes, I got late, so I haven't that you have been talking about.
Patty, unfortunately, you got a bad phone. I'm so sorry to let you go, but I have to take another call. Let's go to Michelle. Michelle, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, Michelle?
I just want to say that if we elected Donald Trump for one thing, and that was to add on the 2 Supreme Court justices, he did his job. because that Supreme Court now is going to uphold the Alabama act that they just passed.
Probably.
And
yeah.
I'm all for it. I am all for it. And guess what? I'm a woman. Who would have thunk?
Well, no, I mean, that doesn't surprise me, Michelle. Like Brian, who just called in, half of the women around that, believe that pro-life, and that's fine. But again, the same question I would ask you is, if you are pro-life, what about food stamps and welfare and all these other government programs that help people that have children that maybe can't afford to? Are you against those programs? Because many of your Republican friends are.
Well, you're assuming a lot about me, aren't you, now?
No, I asked you a question. I didn't make an assumption. I asked you a question, and I just want an answer.
So I think it's multiple. I think it's manyfold. I think those that are truly in need, we need to have some safety nets for them. Yes, I am a very conservative Republican. Also, I believe that there are, thank goodness, many Christian organizations and religious groups that do have food pantries and do offer assistance for finding jobs.
Okay.
And it's just a point of people wanting it. And again, thank God for President Trump. We have the lowest unemployment rate we've had in decades.
I hate the fact that I have to cut you off because I would love to have more of this discussion with you. I hope you can call back tomorrow because we are going to continue this discussion with Danny Tarkanian in studio tomorrow. Thank you so much for the call, Michelle. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take.